NASA and Boeing partnered recently to conduct a contrail research campaign. During the campaign, NASA's DC-8 Flying Science Laboratory measured emissions in contrail ice formations from a Boeing eco-demonstrator aircraft as the Boeing plane switched between 100% sustainable aviation fuel and a low-sulfur version of conventional jet fuel. Data collected will help determine whether sustainable aviation fuels help reduce the formation of contrails, which may trap heat in the atmosphere. The scientific balloon flights planned during NASA's annual Antarctic long-duration balloon campaign include the Gusto mission. This astrophysics mission is aiming for a record 55-plus day flight in the skies above the southernmost hemisphere. It will map a large part of the Milky Way galaxy, including the galactic center and the nearby Large Magellanic Cloud. Learn more about NASA's scientific balloon program at nasa.gov/scientificballoons. On November 29th, our Stennis Space Center conducted a hot fire test of an RS-25 engine. Crews gimbaled or pivoted the RS-25 around a central point during the test. Gimbaling is a key capability for the engine that is used to stabilize the Space Launch System, or SLS rocket, during flight on Artemis missions to the moon and beyond. This was the third hot fire in the current 12-test certification series. 70 teams representing 24 states and Puerto Rico were selected to compete in the 2024 Student Launch Challenge. The 9-month-long competition, which requires students to design, build, and fly a high-powered amateur rocket and scientific payload, culminates with final events April 10th through 14th, 2024, near our Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. On November 11th, a SpaceX Dragon resupply spacecraft arrived at the International Space Station with about 6,500 pounds of cargo. This included an investigation to test technology that could provide enhanced data communications on the space station, a study on how atmospheric gravity waves contribute to space weather, and more. This is SpaceX's 29th contracted commercial resupply mission to the station for NASA. Early data from our Lucy spacecraft recently revealed that asteroid Dinkinesh is a binary pair, with a smaller asteroid orbiting Dinkinesh. Now, the Lucy team has learned that the smaller orbiting asteroid is actually a contact binary. This means it is made of two smaller objects touching each other. This is the first ever contact binary seen orbiting another asteroid. November 16th marked the 1-year anniversary of Artemis 1. During the uncrewed flight test, our Space Launch System rocket sent the Orion spacecraft on a 1.4 million-mile journey beyond the moon and back. Artemis 2, which will be the first Artemis mission to fly astronauts around the moon and safely return them to Earth, is targeted for launch no earlier than November 2024. NASA Associate Administrator and former astronaut Bob Cabana will retire from the agency effective December 31st, after more than 38 years of service. Cabana is NASA's third highest ranking official, and a veteran of 4 Space Shuttle missions, including 2 as commander. He also served as director of our Kennedy Space Center, where he led the center's transition to a multi-user spaceport following the retirement. The first images from our Psyche spacecraft, celebrating an anniversary for the space station, and a new tool to help fight climate change. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA. NASA's Psyche spacecraft, which launched on October 13th, captured the mission's first images, a milestone called First Light. As part of a test of the spacecraft's science instruments, Psyche's twin camera imager instrument captured a total of 68 images within a star field in the constellation Pisces. The First Light images were used to make up a mosaic. The spacecraft will arrive at its destination, the asteroid Psyche, in the main asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter in 2029. On December 6th, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of International Space Station operations with a Space-to-Earth call between the station crew and NASA Associate Administrator Bob Cabana and International Space Station Program Manager Joe Montalbano. On December 6, 1998, the first 2 elements of the orbital outpost, Unity and Zarya, were mated together during Space Shuttle mission STS-88. Cabana was the commander of that mission and became the first American to enter the space station. Learn more about the International Space Station at nasa.gov/station. During the 28th Annual United Nations Climate Conference, NASA and other U.S. government agencies unveiled the U.S. Greenhouse Gas Center. This multi-agency effort consolidates greenhouse gas data gathered by space, airborne, and ground-based assets. The goal is to provide researchers, decision makers, and others with one location for greenhouse gas data and analysis. During a recent visit to our Michoud assembly facility, NASA astronauts Reed Wiseman and Christina Cook and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen saw the core stage for the Space Launch System, or SLS rocket that will fly on Artemis II. Late next year, the 3 astronauts and NASA's Victor Glover will launch in an Orion spacecraft atop the SLS on Artemis II, the first crewed flight test for Artemis around the moon and back. Our SphereX space telescope is beginning to take shape. The observatory, with its distinctive cone-shaped photon shields, will sweep over every section of the sky and survey hundreds of millions of galaxies. The mission, which is targeted for launch no earlier than April 2025, will help scientists better understand where water and other key ingredients necessary for life originated, and will also create a map of the universe that far exceeds the color resolution of previous all-sky maps. NASA's atmospheric waves experiment was recently delivered to the International Space Station. It will track disturbances in our atmosphere, known as atmospheric gravity waves, or AGWs. At the mesopause, where the experiment will make its measurements, AGWs are revealed by colorful bands of light, known as airglow. AGWs can also contribute to space weather, which can disrupt satellite and communication signals on and around Earth. Our PACE spacecraft recently arrived for pre-launch processing at the Astrotech Space Operations Facility near our Kennedy Space Center. PACE will help us better understand how the ocean and atmosphere exchange carbon dioxide, measure key atmospheric variables associated with air quality and Earth's climate, and monitor ocean health. The mission is targeted for launch in 2024.